Well, that's interesting. Hello, my fellow hobbits, welcome back. I do apologize for the long intervals between videos. I have not much time to work in this world, and a hard time justifying working in this world. My main motivation and consolation when I work hard in this world is these videos and this channel and all the support I've been given, and the fact that this means something to someone else as well. It really makes it worth doing to me, and it keeps me motivated to keep working on this world. However, I would like to update you more often, but I hardly ever make too much progress in this world, and it takes so long to make significant progress in this world that there's hardly ever anything worth showing except after a long period of time. So bear with me in this project, but I still want to make more progress, and here I am giving you a little update because I'm making some huge changes right now, and I want to show you some of the things I have done before I really get going and make more stuff. Currently, I'm about to undergo expanding the hillside out even farther. Even though I already did that, now I have to redo it yet again and remake the mill and remake the grange and the bridge and the river and all that jazz. I was going to move it about 10 blocks farther, but I decided on 17 blocks, so that's where we're at right now. So before I destroy the mill that I made and the grange, I'm going to show you them briefly because I never really showed you what I made there. This is the mill grain storehouse. Show you the inside of the mill currently. I'm sparing you too many details since I'm about to rebuild these anyways. And over here I've spent a lot of time recently turning all this land into land. So as you can see, I still have work to do. I've just been covering all this up with dirt and destroying all the old stuff. This is all my storage of all the stuff I've been destroying. And now I'm going to try something a little bit different that I've never done before, and I'm going to take you along with me in rebuilding this section of Hobbiton. So I've recorded myself building a lot of this progress, and I'm just going to cut it up and show it to you, and hopefully it's interesting and you can get a little bit of insight into how I build and see the process of building it. But of course, first I had to do a lot of tearing down in order to make room for the new builds. So the bridge had to go, a lot of the land had to go, because the river had to be reformed really, so I had to modify largely each side of the river and take down most of the buildings in the village. At this point, I think it's like the 4th time I've remade the river. So the bottom underneath each part of the land is like so full of the walls of the river that I made, and now I have to make another new portion of it. But the river is supposed to be quite narrow, and mine's always been a bit large, so I'm narrowing it up a little bit in this transformation. I've also been conflicted during the different periods of modifying my Hobbit architecture as to how big to make buildings, because I try to keep them on the smaller side, not being too big, and make the scale, proportionate, but then it leaves so little room inside to like make everything properly. So one thing I'm doing now is actually just not overthinking it anymore, and I'm just making the buildings big enough so that I can fit everything I want to inside of them, and they're really not that much bigger. Plus, I've been working on my Hobbit architecture for quite a long time now, and I've found a very good balance in the size of them. But I'm kind of glad I get to destroy a lot of these older buildings just so that I can finally make them more satisfying. As you can see, I finally adapted my mill to be a closer depiction of Tolkien's illustration. I always kind of want to make my own style of the mill just because it felt more like my own thing, but I found myself this time I just sort of naturally was making like his version, but I made it my own thing, so I'm very, very happy with the end product of it. It's also not completely finished and I have to make adjustments, but the main structure is done. I spent a long time trying to adapt the landscape here to fit the new mill and line up with the rest of the hill and make everything work. It's just because I'm so specific about what I want and I have such a certain vision and I'm making something that already really exists technically. You have to be so specific, so it takes me a long time to really do this. Okay, we got a lot of skipping around here, but obviously you don't want to see every meticulous process of me building and destroying. But at this point, I had built the mill, and I was started on the mill house. I had destroyed the old mill and the old mill house and the grange, and I was building the grange at this point, which I actually made better than I made it the two previous times. I'm much more happy with it now, and the positioning of it has always bothered me, and it's so perfect now. That was the main reason I made this new expansion, because the grange was just so off-putting in its position, and now it has so much more space, and I'm really in love with the layout now. It's finally what it needed to be. The detailing process of buildings is just trial and error, but I usually have somewhat of a vision, but I kind of just see what I like and work my way through it slowly. But I really like how the grange ended up this time inside. I wanted to get done with the main landscape in between the river and the rest of the hill, so I was filling that in. I began planning where I was going to make the roads a little bit. I had to, of course, destroy all the trees that go along the hill road, but I was trying to rework some of them to still work, but I'll probably end up having to destroy them and completely make them all again. But the trees are such an essential, important part to me, and they take a long time to make, but I think it's worth I have to redo them realistically, but it's worth redoing the ones that are there. Here's a brief little look into the mill house, which I redesigned, and I really love the interior now. It's so much more satisfying than it was before. Also, I've gotten quite a few remarks about people admiring my custom trees, so if you ever want me to make like a tutorial video or just like a video of me showing the process of building a tree, let me know. I'd love to do that. Here is me going back under the hill, because I've recently been collecting my dirt from underneath the cavernous wasteland here. I next built the farmhouse that goes across from the old grange. I might still make adjustments to the exterior architecture of this building because I'm not quite happy with it, but in a general sense I'm very happy with the positioning and the design, and I completely decorated the interior, so I'll give you a little bit of insight here on my decorating of that. But I still might make some adjustments on the outside because it just looks a little bit off to me. I have to figure out what I want to do with it. But making these small cottages is hard to get like a lot of detail, so I'm really trying to work on how I can add more detail, in default Minecraft to these small buildings. In an exterior sense, because obviously I use these 3D CIT texture pack items for like decorating interiors, it's just been I'm so glad I added that to my texture pack. They're just so beneficial for adding a bunch of, homey and nice little details, especially because of, Hobbiton's supposed to be very idyllic and whimsical and just feel cozy, and yeah, I love them. But we've arrived at the end of how much progress I was going to include in this video, so I finished the mill, the farmhouse, and the old grange, and I've been working on the land, and this took me about 4 days, but yeah, let me know if you enjoyed getting more of an insight into building, my building process, and what kind of content you'd like to see from this world. I am going to make sort of a walkthrough video of how I make hobbit holes, because I've gotten quite a few requests for that, but once I get to the point in Hobbiton where I'm making more hobbit holes, I'm going to make a video on that. I'm so excited to get working on the village again and Bywater, and I'm really excited for the upcoming parts of this project, so thank you guys so much for all the support and love that you've shown me. I've gotten very little criticism, even though I have a lot of peculiarities in my design in Minecraft, but I'm really glad that other people can enjoy this build as well. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.